Starting off with UFC 251 that took place 1 week ago on Saturday. Let's just go fight by fight of the main card. So, starting off with obviously the main event, Usman versus Masvidal. In terms of entertainment, obviously, it was lacking. It wasn't that great because it was just Usman dominating rounds 2 through 5, with a lot of toe stomps and all that stuff, obviously. But yeah, let's start with round 1. I thought Masvidal won that round. He performed really well. He had some nice shots, some nice hits to Usman, but I think he just got gassed from round 1. And that's due to the short camp, all that stuff. So that hurt him a lot, obviously. Fought on 6 days' notice. The rest of the fight, 2 through 5, as I mentioned, was dominated by Usman. He showed off his wrestling skills, all that stuff. But I was still impressed with Masvidal in the fight, considering the circumstances. As I mentioned, the 6 days' notice. That he took the fight on 6 days' notice. Then he had to get on a plane and fly to a long flight to a foreign country, quarantine for 48 hours, cut 20 pounds, and fight Kamaru Usman, who is really good. And in the fight, you could see Masvidal showed he had great takedown defense. He was able to manage Usman on the ground, which is hard to do. So, so yeah, that was credit to Masvidal for that. Where he struggled, though, I thought, was in the grapple. Usman would kind of just trap him on the cage, and then just kick his toes until he was worn out. He was fatigued at that point, and he was in pain and all that in his lower body, and so his cardio already wasn't that great. He was tired and all that, so that just made it even worse. And yeah, it kind of just compounded on itself and ended up hurting Masvidal. But he did prove to be a huge draw in terms of fans. The pay-per-view got 1.3 million buys, which is way more than it would have if it was Usman versus Gilbert Burns. So Masvidal is a legitimate star in the UFC, who's gonna get people to watch his fights. So that's important for him, and he's gonna get a chance to redeem himself. Obviously, this fight doesn't say much about him negatively. He'll be fine, and all that. So yeah, he'll be okay. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened with that fight. I mean, it wasn't too complex, and so yeah, that was the Masvidal Usman fight. Moving on to the next fight, another title fight, Holloway versus Volkanovski. This was the controversial fight, right? Volkanovski ends up winning over Holloway by decision 3-2 in favor of Volkanovski, and most people disagreed with this, including me. And I thought Holloway won 3-2. I had Holloway rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then Volkanovski 4 and 5. And I think, in my opinion, after the first two rounds, I thought Holloway was gonna run away with the fight. He was just gonna win pretty easily. Well, not easily, but I thought he was gonna run away with it because he was really dominant the first 2 rounds. And so you have to give Volkanovski credit for being able to mentally bounce back from that, and physically, from being taken down in the first 2 rounds. and to make round 3 really close, the deciding round, and then rounds 4 and 5 he won. But I thought round 3, Holloway won, and it's unfortunate that the judges, at least in my opinion, messed it up, and he didn't win the fight. But overall, I think it was a good fight, obviously, with just an unfortunate result. But yeah, that's the problem with judges, they're just wrong a lot. So that's the thing. And I mean, I don't think this affects Holloway negatively. I actually think it helps him in terms of his starter quality, I guess, or his appeal for fans, because now they're gonna wanna tune in and support him, because they feel like he was robbed of something that he deserves, and so I think it's good for him. But yeah, it was a good fight, a great fight, with an unfortunate result. Now the third title fight, but the first one that happened of the night, was Jan versus Aldo, right? And we all saw that, saw what happened. Jan destroyed Aldo the entire fight, really, and he's a beast, and he deserves to be the champion. And Aldo showed heart, he hung in there, even though he was getting pummeled by Jan. He was holding on, and he just couldn't, he couldn't hold on for that long. He's past his prime, I think. And so, yeah, he was beaten up pretty bad. And the fight should have been ended earlier than it was. And that's on the referee, obviously. I don't know what he was thinking, letting the fight go on, because that fight was over for long before the referee actually called it, and Aldo was just taking unnecessary punishment, which he shouldn't have to at that point. So that's the Jan versus Aldo fight. Moving on to the Namajunas versus Andrade fight. Entertaining fight. It was an awesome fight. And yeah, I mean, 5 rounds. We saw how it went down. It was awesome. Big hits, good fighting, and all that. Skill. Namajunas won, obviously, in the end. And yeah, I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due. Namajunas was able to take some big hits and stand in there, and so deserved to win. And I think it'll be interesting to see if she fights Zhang Weili, and how she's able to do. Zhang Weili is obviously the champ of that division. Yeah, so we'll see. Next was the first fight of the main card. It was Ribas versus Van Zandt. Not a great fight, not very long at least. Ended quickly. Ribas just got Van Zandt in a clinch, and Van Zandt just tapped out. So, Ribas performed well, Van Zandt not so much, and that was the end of that fight. Van Zandt probably not a bright future in the UFC.